All right, so in this video, I am on a mission. You see, I got to catch a flight in a couple hours to Monterey, California. All right, so the main reason I'm headed down there is to get acquainted with and test ride the new Harley-Davidson 2023 CVO Street and Road Glide. All right, so there's not much great information out there on these new CVOs, and I'm not going down to just gawk and drool at these bikes. Instead, I want to take a more practical approach, if you will, and a deep dive and really find out everything there is to know about these new CVOs. And then of course share everything with you guys so you can make an informed decision on whether the new CVOs are right for you. All right, and so one of the main questions I have, and I know many of you do too, is are these major changes and redesign, what we've seen so far, are those going to bleed over into the 2024 touring lineup? Well, you better believe I will ask those questions to Harley reps while I'm down there, but I can't promise they're gonna answer that yet. Let's get out of here. I got a flight to catch. See you in Monterey.
So, as I departed for my trip, I couldn't help but reflect on the fact that my main touring motorcycle is a 2014 Street Glide Special that I bought brand new in late 2013. Now I absolutely love my 2014 with that solid and reliable 103 cubic inch twin cam motor. Now, it is worth noting that 2014 was the release of the Project Rushmore bikes. You see, the motor company made massive changes to the platform overall at that time. Too many to name here, but basically producing bikes that delivered more horsepower, better handling, and had savvier electronics. Now this really changed the game for Harley, moving them into a more modern era to where they are today. Now, since 2014, Harley has certainly made many incremental changes with the release of the Milwaukee-Eight motor in 2017, and of course the newer version of the boombox called the GTS in 2019, among other things. But nothing like the Project Rushmore bike changes. And on my way to Monterey during a layover, I was once again looking at all the changes and specs for the new 2023 CVO models. And it quickly became clear to me that these were literally Rushmore Project-esque bikes. On paper, these bikes have undergone massive changes and redesign. But on paper is one thing, and I was getting more excited and curious as I departed on my final flight. I really needed to get to Monterey to spend time with and review these CVOs to put a real-world perspective on it.
Welcome to San Jose. The local time is 7:56 p.m.
I've dug 2 graves for us, my dear. Can't pretend that I was perfect, leaving you in fear. Oh man, what a world, the things I hear. If I could act on my revenge, no would I. Some kids.
All right, down here in Monterey, California. Look.
What up, homies?
Blockhead. We are down here testing the brand new 2023 CVOs, and I know Block's going to do a full video on these things, so check out his channel.
Mine's will be better.
Well,
Just watch his.
Whatever.
Well, whenever I first came up to it, I was looking at it, and I'm like, you know, you look from spot to spot, and you're like, oh my God, there's so much that's changed on these things, and it looks sharp. I'm not a huge fan of silver, but this is super subtle, and is this silver?
Dark platinum.
Dark platinum, not silver.
Dug 2 graves for us, my dear. Can't pretend that I was perfect, leaving you in fear.
All right, guys, I am super stoked. I finally get to jump on it. 2023 CVO Road Glide, Milwaukee-Eight 121 VVT. Let's get rolling here. Just getting started, heading north along the coast here. Get a feel for this thing. Now let's get this out of the way. Obviously I'm riding the Road Glide CVO, and most of you know, if you don't, the difference between that and a Street Glide is this has got the shark nose fairing. It's fixed. The bars turn within. They're free. And with the Street Glide, of course, the whole fairing, that batwing fairing, turns with you. Other than that, these bikes are going to be exactly the same. I'm just going to be riding this one because, again, everything else that I'm going to say is exactly the same. This bike coming with the Milwaukee-Eight VVT 121. First time, brand new. Now, Harley put VVT in their RevMax motors, like on the Pan America, the Nightster, that kind of stuff, but this is the first time they put it in the big V-twin here. And so basically, if you don't know, variable valve timing, it's basically just going to broaden your overall power band, and it's going to improve torque management and efficiency. Speaking of the previous, which is the 117 Milwaukee-Eight without VVT, with the 121 here, they increased torque by 8% and horsepower by 9.5%. So great improvements, and you will have no problem passing cars. But as far as handling and just, you know, carving the corners here a little bit, it feels like road glides I've ridden many times. You can really flip through the gears there, nice and smooth. And here we're in fourth gear, and I'm rolling on it. Wow. Right when I hit that 4,500, that's that, you know, well, it's your power band, and that you can definitely feel that the VVT, it's basically adjusting on the fly, which is really cool. And when you get in that power band, you know it quickly. So some other things worth mentioning on the 121 here, as far as the motor goes. They put a new intake tract in it. They increased the throttle body size from 55 to 58 millimeters. They put a counterbalancer in it, a single counterbalancer that helps reduce unwanted vibrations, and that definitely is translating as I feel these bars. You get the feedback. That's what I've always liked. Harley's been cautious over the years to not take out all vibration. Riders like me, and I know so many other, we still want to feel. That's why you ride a Harley. And I'm still getting good feedback in the bars as I'm shifting. I, you know, can feel, and then the different RPMs. So I'd say it's the right amount. And they also put a high performance cam, a higher lift cam with longer duration in this motor. And so a lot of upgrades to the motor. I'm just running that 45. Whoa. Yeah, you can just throttle blip it, and it literally is just taking that front end and getting really light. That's where it's at for sure. So let's talk about the cockpit here, so to speak. A lot of changes. Number one, huge screen you see in front of me. That is brand new. It's a 12.3 TFT touchscreen display. The old boombox was a 6.5, so you get about 90% more real estate. And within that, as you can see, all the gauges are digital. At some point, we'll see if I can get my hands on one of these bikes, these CVOs, for a week or two. I can do more in-depth review and obviously dig into this a lot more. We're not going to do that in this video. So you can do a lot of customization to this screen. There's different widgets, and then there's 3 different modes on, you know, kind of what display information you want to do. Cruise, sport, and touring, and you set it, and it'll display different information, like I say, and then you can mess with widgets and all kinds of stuff. One of the big things that I complained about in the past is with the old boombox systems, you had to have a WIM, a wireless headset interface module, and that was an add-on part. If you wanted Bluetooth headset connectivity, you could connect your phone, but you couldn't do headset unless you added that WIM on. Well, now they've announced with this unit, it is built in. So you can pair your headset out of the box, ready to go. Obviously on your control clusters over here, these are completely redesigned. You've got switches over here, you've got your center button toggles this is all to control this infotainment system. You've got fast forward play or volume up and down, you've got fast forward, rewind, everything you'd expect, and then more toggles to toggle through the menu items. Over here, you've got 3 ride modes on this bike, which is really cool that Harley's starting to introduce ride modes. Some guys like them, some guys don't, but they're available. And I'm in sport mode right now, and they've also got road mode and rain mode. Those are the 3 ride modes, and of course that changes the characteristics of how the bike responds to the road and the environment. And then it's also got 2 customizable slots, so you can really dial it in and figure out exactly how you want your ride modes. Up here you've got cruise. You can, the center button there, you push it on to turn it on, see it up there on the dash, push it off and then resume, set, all that stuff that you're used to. You've got traction control here on this button right here that you can turn on or off. And then this button up here just flips through different menu item, trip, odometer, all that kind of stuff that you can see over on that right gauge there. Of course, I like this. Up here they did the headlight switch, which is really nice. You can push it with your finger and you pull it back and you've got low beam, high beam, and then you can just flip it. It's got a spot, so you're in high beam or low beam and you can just flip it to flash your headlight if you want. And then you've got your back button over here. This looks like it does a bunch of different things. And again, I'm not going to get into all this, but it's menu items such as heated hand grips. I know it does come with heated hand grips. That's operated within the boom box. You no longer have a turn dial out here where you can turn them on and off, but you've got a bunch of menu items in here, stuff popping up on the screen. Moving over to the right, you've got hazards, of course, and you've got your run start button over here up top. If I didn't mention, you've got a horn over here, and I like that they kept the signals on both handlebars. And then here's your mode button over here. All right, just real quick, we'll get right back into your video. As you can imagine, a ton of man hours, expenses, and effort go into keeping this channel going strong. There is a way you can support us by becoming a patron member. I will link to it in the description below. There are benefits for signing up, such as t-shirts and stickers. You get access to the private Facebook group. Really, it's a troll-free zone, nothing but bikers helping and meeting other bikers. You get access to live video broadcasts and chat, podcasts early, premium videos upon request, and of course, access to our ride, meetup, and events. We appreciate you considering becoming a member. Let's go ahead and get back into your video. Now this key comes with a key fob and no ignition here. You do have a fork lock, it looks like, and then everything is just your key fob, and that locks the saddlebags too. And you've got air deflectors here on both sides, so you can literally move these things in and out. It moves air up and around you how you like it. Up here we've got the vent, and you can really adjust how you want the air to flow up and down. I believe they reduced head buffeting and that by like 60%. So these redesigns of these fairings were not just for looks. I would say that it's working very well. So they got a new airbox. It's bigger as far as volumetric is 4 liters. And that's 50% more than the 117 Milwaukee-Eight. It's in farther, so it's sleeker. It's not going to mess with your leg. I know that was a complaint of some of the guys with the other Milwaukee-Eights. Huge we got to talk about is this baby does have water-cooled heads. It's got a radiator down low. It does have an electric fan, so it's got a thermostat, everything we're used to with radiators. It really pushes the water. There's new channels in the heads, and it really pushes the water around the exhaust valves. And with everything, that's something they really wanted to do, it seems, is decrease heat on the rider. And certainly water cooled, you're going to get performance, that's huge, but also keep that heat off the rider. And that fan is positioned down by the radiator, and it really pushes the heat down beneath the bike and away from the rider. Now, also, they increased performance. They also cut down weight. So off the Street Glide, I believe they shaved 31 pounds, and off the Road Glide, they shaved 35 pounds. You've got a Rockford Fosgate system, stage 2, 6x9 speakers up in the dash there, saddlebags 5.7, and obviously that stage 2 system by Rockford Fosgate frickin' rocks. It's your ignition switch, and then you can literally just push it like an automobile and let it start, so you don't have to keep holding it. So on the Road Glide, change the storage compartments just a bit. You've got one on each side, and they go down in instead of out, so easier to get stuff up and in there. Hopefully it won't fall out, but you got one on that side too. So on the Street Glide, they've got an actual drawer underneath the infotainment system that actually slides out, and I believe it's supposed to be larger, more space than the old jukebox compartment that we were used to for years on the Street Glides. So these bars, I like them. They have a flatter, wider bend here on the CVO for a more natural, comfortable, I would say, position. I actually really like them. for a guy 5'8", and with my arm length and stuff, I'm not sure that I would, for me, I don't think I would be changing those out. And of course over here, we've got the cable clutch. So interestingly, they added an adjustable brake lever, and essentially it's just got a little wheel under here, and I could actually turn it, a little star wheel, so to speak, with numbers on it, different adjustments on where you want the brake lever, if you want it closer to the grip or farther away from the grip. So it's a nice little addition. And interestingly, the fuel cap here, no cap, not locked, and open it up and doesn't even need a cap, it just kind of built in right there, seals up, so that's pretty cool. The seat, which is pretty comfortable, it's got good back support. I like how it pushes me forward, being shorter arms. I'm not stretched out my arms, I'm actually able to have a little bend in my arms, so it pushes me in a really good, nice riding position for a guy my height. As far as suspension goes, this bike, we've been over some bumps and different terrain here. Feels amazing. On the front, they put 47mm inverted Showa forks with 4.6 inches of travel. And I've hit the brake like I did there a few times to dive that front, and it's nice. So for the rear suspension, it is Showa. It's adjustable preload on it. You got to remove a saddlebag to do that. That's your main preload adjustment. And then they put a really nice, like, intermediate to make finer preload adjustments. And it is, comes out the side of the bike, and it's actually exposed on the left side by the front of the saddlebag. And so you can make some minor adjustments right there. Even better is this rear suspension is now coming with rebound damping adjustments. 2 adjuster screws on the bottom of each shock on both sides. And obviously, you know, not ripping right now, just kind of cruising. This thing, you could lay down miles cross country for sure. This 121 with VVT is just a smooth runner. The brakes feel really nice, and that's because they put up front dual disc brakes. They upped them from 300mm rotors to 320, and they are dual Brembo brakes, radial mounted, which is really nice. So that's a different mount, and it increases the way the brakes perform in comparison to the other bikes, which are axial mounted. That's what you're used to on Harley. So rear single disc 300mm rotor back there, but everything's solid. And I mean, I can lock that rear up real quick before the ABS goes in there, like lighter input basically. So that's nice. You don't have to really just stomp on it to get slowed. And there's a lot of bumps here. The suspension handling really nice in a corner. All I can say is, yeah, the 121 VVT, it's a smooth, what a smooth motor with everything you need. Got some twisties coming up here, nice. And I'm running her here on this section in real high RPMs, 4,000, 4,500. And got into the floorboard. My foot started to drag there a little bit. Oh yeah, this is nice. Handling like a champ. And also they added a new shift drum, and essentially that's supposed to make it easier to get into neutral. You know, we all fight that sometimes, and I would say the many stops we've made, it definitely improved. So as far as the wheels go, you got a 19-inch front, 18-inch rear, cast aluminum laced spoke wheels. And so over the past years, all the bikes, you know, the specials and CVOs are all coming, as is this one with your rider enhanced safety features. And so, you know, cornering ABS and detects your lean angle, and I believe drag slip torque control, and there's a whole list of them. It's coming with all those safety features. ABS, of course, linked braking system. So the saddlebags are, you know, have a contoured look, kind of a rounded look, and they're kind of sloped in the rear. Really nice look. and they actually hold just a little bit more. They have a little bit more space. The exhaust, they did increase that from 4 inches mufflers diameter to 4.5. And for stock and the regulations they have to stay within, it doesn't sound bad at all. But certainly you could open it up some more. It called 911. It still works.
That's crazy.
Might have got the lenses a little bit, but
How wild is that it called 911?
I know. Thought I was in a crash, yeah.
Yeah, lucky as hell, dude.
Could have been worse. At least we know crash detection works. And obviously we're on gravel pulling out from the shoulder here. I put it on rain mode, and that should allow me to really, yeah, I hit the throttle hard trying to peel out, and it wouldn't peel out. It managed the power to the rear wheel there, so yeah. Some lane splitting in California here on a 2023 CVO Road Glide. Oh, it's tight. We got her. There we go. 2023 CVO Road Glide. So I literally just arrived back home, and I want to give you guys some final thoughts, opinions, and things for discussion. All right, so now that I've got to spend time with the CVOs, as I stated earlier in the video, I believe them to be Project Rushmore-esque bikes. They really are. I'm standing in front of a Project Rushmore, my 2014 Street Glide Special. The amount of changes that Harley-Davidson made, from everything from the controls to the redesign of the fairing, not only for looks but for functionality, everything they did to the new 121 VVT, suspension, you name it. It is a major overhaul and redesign, and really almost a whole new bike. All right, so I want to get a couple things out of the way. First thing is, there were some early on leaked pictures of the new shark nose fairing. They were bad angles. Everybody was concerned about it. I can tell you that video and pictures don't do it justice. Having spent time in person with that bike, it really grew on me, and I think it will a lot of other riders too. You just have to see it in person is all I can say. Number two is I'm seeing a lot of comments from people that don't really know about the new Batwing and shark nose fairings that the bikes now look like Indians. Well, let me set the record straight on that. It was actually back in 1969, I believe was the year, Harley actually produced and put out the first Batwing fairing bike. And they also were the first to put out the shark nose fairing. Indian actually designed theirs off of Harley. So I got to ask you, who's copying who? And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because I love Indian motorcycles too, but that can't be disputed, that information, and it's just a fact. I'm also seeing a lot of comments. Obviously, humans in general, well, they just don't like change always. I can tell you that Harley-Davidson can't just stay stale or they'll go out of business like any other business. They need to keep pushing forward. I think with the CVOs, I think they, in my opinion, they did a really good job. They pushed it, and it is a redesign, different than what we're used to seeing, like any changes, but they also kept it looking very much Harley, in my opinion. And to piggyback off that, obviously Harley over the last years has been producing some water-cooled bikes. We all know that's the direction it's going. I do very much appreciate the way Harley did it on this CVO. Aesthetically, it looks very good. It's smaller, it's at the bottom, unlike some of the other manufacturers that just slap a huge old big car radiator on the front. So as you've come to expect from this channel is I always look at pros, but oftentimes there's cons to every bike, especially if you get nitpicky, and that's what I'm gonna do now. So I didn't get a lot of time to spend with the actual new infotainment system. There just wasn't enough time. I'd really like to get that bike for an extended period so I can really dive into that system. With that said, we all know the problems in the past with the original boombox system and even the upgraded GTS in 19. They've always had problems and they've always tried to work the bugs out, but a lot of the bugs they never worked out. So my hope is that they really spent some time on this new infotainment system and we're not going to see a repeat of that. All right, now big upgrade on the suspension on the CVOs. Again, this is just nitpicky in my wants. I hope in the future they can add the suspension adjustments electronically right into the system, similar to what they did with the Pan America. Also, that adaptive ride height from the Pan America where the bike lowers when it stops, if they could bring that to the touring platform, I think that would be absolutely amazing, especially for those shorter riders that find it hard to be flat-footed when stopped. But I know all those type of things also bring the cost of a bike up, so somewhere in there, I get it, there's a balance. And the final and biggest question that many of you have, and I said it up front of this video, I was gonna ask Harley reps, well I did, and the question is, are all the changes on the CVOs going to bleed over into the 2024 touring lineup, such as the special models? Well, I got a pretty quick answer. Unfortunately, at this time, they're not gonna say. And I can tell you this just based on common sense. They spent years developing R&D, and they put a bunch of money into these CVOs in this complete redesign. So I think it just makes sense that they're not just gonna keep it on the CVOs. Now, whether it bleeds over in 24 or 25, I don't know, but I definitely think that's gonna be the new touring model lineup. All right, I'm popping a couple videos on the screen here for you. Hopefully something useful or entertaining, heck, maybe both. At any rate, when you're done watching videos, make sure you get out there and ride every chance you get, Bikeaholics. Peace.
I've dug 2 graves for us, my dear.